Most business owners hire a virtual assistant, hand them a problem, and expect it to get solved, but the truth is that it doesn't. And then they do what every frustrated founder does. They blame the virtual assistant. They weren't good enough. Nobody cares about my business quite like I do, and they think that virtual assistants just don't work. But that's wrong. Your VA didn't fail you. Your system did. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up delegation the right way, what to hand off first, how to train your assistant, and the 3-tier hiring structure that actually scales. So let's get into it. Number one is the expectation problem. I want to start with a client story because I see this happen constantly. A business owner comes to me, they're very overwhelmed. They've got a fulfillment process that's eating up 20 hours of their week, so they hire a VA, give them a vague overview of how things work, hand over the software logins, and expect everything to be solved. And 60 days later, the virtual assistant is gone. The owner is back to doing everything themselves, and now they're convinced that virtual assistants just don't work. But here's the truth. VAs can take an enormous amount off your plate, but they are not system builders. You cannot hand one of them a problem and expect them to solve it from scratch. That's not what this is. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. If someone dropped you into a new job, gave you a 2-minute explanation of a complex process, handed you access to 5 different tools and said, manage this, you'd probably fail too. And not because you're not capable, but because you had no direction. And the fix is simple, but most people skip it because it's boring. You need SOPs, step-by-step trainings before every single hire. And even then, you don't hand everything over at once. You give them one task, let them complete it, you let them ask their questions, and you don't move on until they get it right. Then you add the next task. That's how you build a VA who actually performs, not by throwing them into the deep end and hoping they swim, but by actually building the fundamentals. So now the real question, where do you even start? And most people think the answer is obvious. Whatever takes me the most time, that's what I'm going to outsource first. And that logic may sound right, but honestly, it's wrong. And here's why. The most time-consuming task in your business might also be the task that's bringing you the most money. If you're a founder spending 40 hours a week on sales calls, that's time-consuming, but you don't delegate that. That's your revenue engine. The real criteria is this. Find the task that is both time-consuming and easy to make a system out of. Those two things together, not just one, and let me give you a real example. Let's say you're a content creator. You can't expect someone to write in your voice as good as you from day one. That's your voice, that's your perspective, your brand that you've poured years into. But here's how you can build a system to outsource 95% of that script writing efficiently. First, you need to show them, where do you come up with your ideas? Do you use trending videos in your niche? Do you use AI research to get FAQs and answer those? Whatever your system looks like, this step needs to be documented. If you're researching trending videos, for example, make a simple loom going over some of the most common pages you source ideas from, and then show them how to organize them in a place you can see and give feedback to. And next, you need to document how this idea actually turns into a full video script. Most likely, if you're doing enough volume with content, you already have AI systems that know your voice, know your brand, and can take ideas and actually turn them into scripts. So all you would need to do here is simply show them how to take the ideas they got in step 1 and place them into the AI model. And from there, obviously, you want to make a quick review, make some edits. Once it's filmed, you can have them communicating with the editor and actually posting out your content on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, so you can maximize your reach. That's what a real delegation system looks like. You don't hand off the whole thing, you break it into bite-sized pieces. And when you break the process into steps, you can see what parts require you and which one can be outsourced. The first thing to delegate should always be a combination of the most time-consuming task and the easiest to document. If you can write it down in a step-by-step checklist and someone else can follow it without needing to think like you, that's your first hire, that's your first task that you've gotten off your plate. All right, so you've identified what you're gonna delegate and you've created your systems. How do we make sure your assistant can actually get it right every time without needing you to micromanage? So step 1 is to assign one task at a time in sequence. This is where most people mess up. They hand over the whole task list on day 1, and please do not do that. Think about it. If you show up to a gym for your first boxing lesson and the trainer is showing you 10 punch combos, you're gonna get overwhelmed very fast and you're gonna be more likely to quit. Whereas if you spent the whole first session only working on your jab, you're gonna feel like you made progress and be more likely to continue developing that skill set. And it's the same thing with your virtual assistant. Give them task 1, let them complete it, then review it, answer their questions, and only once they've completed the first task to your satisfaction can you move to task 2. This is what's going to build the fundamentals in your assistant and the confidence at the same exact time. And step 2 is just show up as a leader, especially in the beginning. You need to be available, not micromanaging, but available. Your assistant is going to have questions about how to complete the task correctly, and if you're unreachable, they're going to guess, and guessing is what's going to lead to mistakes. The business owners who complain that their VA doesn't perform are usually the same ones who disappeared after day 1, expected everything to run itself. Now, let me paint you a picture of what the wrong version looks like, because I've seen it too many times. You do 5 or 10 interviews, you're in a rush, so you pick someone who seems decent. You give them vague expectations, hand over software access, and then expect them to figure it out. 2 weeks in, maybe they've done some stuff right, but they're confused. A month in, they're disengaged, and by 60, they're gone altogether. And now you have no replacement, you're starting completely from scratch. You've lost all the time you spent hiring and half the time you spent training them. And whatever momentum you had going into this is now gone. And here's the worst part. You're gonna walk away thinking that virtual assistants just don't work altogether when they're actually one of the most beneficial hires a business can make. You tell other business owners the same thing. You become the person who tried it and failed and gave up. But it didn't fail because of the assistant. It failed because how you set up the systems as a founder. And the sooner you own that you actually made the mistake here, the sooner you can fix it. Now, before I get into the hiring structure, if you're at a point where you know you need to bring someone on, but you don't want to go through this whole process yourself of building SOPs and interviews, that's exactly what my team does. We handle the recruiting, the vetting, the SOP build out, and the training done for you. The link is in the description if you want to talk. Now let's keep going. The most common question I get asked is, how do I know when it's time to make a good hire? And my honest answer is only hire if you genuinely believe it will help you make more money or create a clear operational benefit. Not because you want help, not because it sounds like it could be a good idea, because there's a real identifiable problem that only a hire can solve. And here are 2 triggers I look for. Number 1 is a growth opportunity. You can't take on new business because you genuinely don't have the capacity. Or if you're overwhelmed and your to-do list is growing faster than you can work, then it's time. But most importantly, if you've turned away business, said no to a deal that you otherwise would have taken just because you can't manage the workload, then it is definitely time to hire. Okay, this is the part I really want you to pay attention to, because this is the structure that actually scales. There are 3 tiers of delegation, 3 different hires you should make, and the order matters a lot. Tier 1 is the executive assistant, and this is almost always your first hire. This is going to be your right hand. This is the person who's going to handle your emails, book your meetings, manage your client requests, and just take care of everything that you don't want to be doing. This isn't a task-specific hire. This is someone who trains deeply on your business, knows the ins and outs better than anyone else on the planet except yourself. They know how you communicate, how you operate, and what your priorities are, so that over time you can just hand them things with confidence they can handle it. And this role ideally will never get replaced. It's going to grow. 6 months in, they know your business well enough to take on more responsibilities. A year in, they're running parts of the operation you haven't even thought about yet, and they continue to grow with your business. And as far as experience goes, when I'm hiring this position, I want to find someone who has at least 2 years of experience working directly with a CEO. And bonus points if that CEO had a company that's similar to yours or in a similar niche. Now for tier 2 and 3, I'm going to combine it, and here's where it gets specific to your business. After your executive assistant, the next hire depends entirely where your biggest bottleneck is. So if fulfillment is demanding, if you're drowning in client work, onboarding, customer success, or back-end operations, then that's tier 2. You hire into fulfillment first. Whether that's an onboarding coordinator, a client-facing support role, someone who takes a lot of the operational weight off so you can keep delivering at a high level. But if your pipeline is the problem, if you're light on clients and your business needs more leads, more appointments, and more deals to grow, then tier 2 is going to be marketing. Now this can be an appointment setter, this can be a social media management, a content assistant. The point is you solve your biggest bottleneck first. Don't hire a marketing assistant when your fulfillment is on fire and you can't take new business, and don't hire an onboarding coordinator when you don't even have enough clients to onboard. You got to read your business and identify the constraint and hire into that smartly. And then tier 3 fills in the other side. Once the first bottleneck is solved, you address the next one. Executive assistant first, then fulfillment or marketing, depending on your situation, and then the other one. That's the structure. So here's where you're at now. You know that VAs are not system builders. You know you have to bring the system, and you know what to delegate first, the task that's both the most time consuming and easy to document. You know the exact process, the onboarding call, the task list, and the 1 task at a time method. And you even know the 3-tier structure, the executive assistant, and then fulfillment or marketing, then the other. The only thing left is to actually do it. If you want to build this yourself, go ahead. use everything I just walked you through. But if you want my team to handle the recruiting, the vetting, the training, the SOPs, the link is in the description. We get you placed in under 5 days. And if you want to go deeper on how to actually find the right person, watch this video next. I break down the exact process we use to identify A players before they ever start.